Hey everyone, welcome. Tonight, we're diving deep into the long, winding history of your bed, a story you might never have thought about. Imagine yourself walking in a world without cities, without clocks, without the constant hum of human life. The sky overhead stretches wide and dark, studded with a scattering of cold, glittering stars that seem to hold the secrets of everything that has ever been. The air is crisp, carrying the faint rustle of leaves and the distant call of animals settling in for the night. You breathe in deeply, the scent of damp earth mingling with wild herbs and smoke from a small fire flickering nearby. Your body aches in the way it does after a long day, muscles tired and tense, joints stiff from movement across rocky ground and through tangled brush. You're part of a small band, a tribe that has roamed these lands for generations. Tonight, like every night, you seek refuge from the unknown dangers lurking just beyond the circle of firelight. There is no bed here, at least not like the ones people know today. There are no pillows stuffed with feathers, no soft mattresses layered thickly beneath a quilt. Instead, your bed is the earth itself, cushioned with leaves, grass, moss, maybe a few sprigs of fragrant herbs. You gather them carefully, making sure to cover every uneven rock and cold patch of soil. You lay down, feeling the prick of twigs beneath your skin, the roughness of bark and dirt pressed close to your body. It is far from comfortable, but it is a place carved out for rest, for vulnerability, for surrender. The fire crackles beside you, sending sparks up into the sky, its warmth brushing against your skin like a silent guardian. The smoke curls upwards, carrying the scent of pine and sage, mingling with the sounds of the forest. A distant owl, the snap of a twig, the rustle of unseen creatures moving in the dark. You close your eyes, but your mind remains alert, listening to the rhythm of the night. In this primal moment, you are part of something ancient, a thread in a chain stretching back through millennia. Long before history was written, before kingdoms and empires, before civilization itself, humans understood the need for a place to rest. The bed was not yet a crafted object, but an idea, a quiet desire for comfort, safety, and peace, in a world that was often hostile and uncertain. As you settle, memories flicker like shadows in your mind. Stories pass down through wordless gestures and shared glances. Tales of those who came before, who sought the softest grass, the driest patch of earth, who learned to keep fire burning to ward off cold and beasts, who discovered that sleep was not just a physical necessity but a refuge for the spirit. Far from here, on another continent, archaeologists will later uncover the remains of early sleeping mats, woven from reeds and rushes, layered with ashes to keep insects at bay. They will call these the oldest beds known to humankind, dating back tens of thousands of years. You might have been there, in that tangled wetland, arranging the reeds beneath you, murmuring quietly as you tried to rest your aching bones. Over countless seasons, the bed evolved, slowly gaining meaning beyond mere function. It became a sacred space, a boundary between the world of waking and the realm of dreams. The earth itself, rough and unforgiving, began to give way to simple structures. Raised platforms of wood, soft animal hides stretched carefully over branches. Imagine stepping into the dawn of human creativity, when the first crafted beds appeared. A single wooden frame, raised above the cold ground. A bundle of skins, tanned and softened, layered thickly to cushion the body. These early beds were more than just comfort. They were statements of belonging and survival. To have a bed raised from the earth was to mark a place as home, a sanctuary from the wilderness. Travel now, in your mind, to the vast plains of Africa, where some of humanity's earliest ancestors first made their shelters. Here the bed is not just a sleeping place, but a stage for life itself. Around it, stories are told by firelight, songs are sung, bonds are forged. The bed holds the echo of laughter, the whisper of secrets shared under the stars. As time flows onward, civilizations rise and fall, and with them, the idea of the bed grows richer, more complex. In ancient Egypt, for example, the bed becomes a symbol of status and power. You walk through the sandstone corridors of a modest home, stepping lightly across cool tiles. Inside, a wooden frame stands, polished smooth, holding a woven mat covered with fine linen. Even this simple bed speaks of comfort and care, a luxury in a harsh desert world. The pharaohs, however, elevate the bed to divine heights. Their beds gleam with gold, inlaid with precious stones. Soft cushions embroidered with sacred symbols surround them, while servants hold fans to ward off flies and heat. The bed is not just a place to sleep. It is a throne, a sacred altar where kings and gods meet. Think of the ritual of going to bed in this ancient world. The scent of incense drifts through the air, the flicker of oil lamps casting shadows on painted walls. You recline upon your bed, wrapped in fine linens, the softest the Nile can produce. Outside, the world is alive with the song of cicadas and the distant rush of the river. You close your eyes, feeling the gentle sway of the reed mattress beneath you, and drift into a world of dreams where gods and mortals intertwine. Then comes Greece, where the bed becomes a space of leisure and life. Imagine yourself as a citizen of Athens, reclining on a klein, a low wooden couch with cushions and drapes. Here, the bed is more than sleep. It is where you eat, converse, and entertain. The symposium, a gathering of friends and thinkers, takes place on beds arranged in a circle, where wine flows freely and ideas sparkle like stars. Your fingers brush soft fabrics embroidered with intricate patterns. The aroma of roasted lamb and honeyed figs fills the air. You lift a cup of diluted wine, your elbow resting on pillows. Around you, voices laugh, debate, and sing. Later, you will lay down on the same klein, the comfort of the cushions wrapping you as your mind sails into the realm of dreams and memories. The Romans inherit and expand these traditions, making the bed an even more central part of life. Rich households have separate beds for sleeping, dining, and pleasure. You might rest on a wooden frame woven tightly with ropes, designed to support your body just right. The bed is a refuge from the noisy empire outside, a private space amid the grandeur and chaos. As the night deepens, imagine the flicker of oil lamps casting dancing shadows on the walls. The scent of spiced wine lingers. You sink into your bed's embrace, tired from the day's demands, feeling both small and significant in the vast Roman world. The bed becomes your sanctuary, a place where you are yours alone. Through these ages, the bed is never static. It transforms alongside humanity, from leaves on the ground to thrones of gold, from rough mats to elegant couches. It is a reflection of culture, of status, of the timeless human need for rest and refuge. Now, as you lay there, wrapped in the quiet dark, feel the weight of those millennia beneath you. You are part of an unbroken chain of sleepers, dreamers, and seekers, each one finding their own small comfort in the ancient ritual of lying down, closing their eyes, and letting go. Tonight, your bed is your story, your history, your sanctuary. And as you drift, remember, this journey has only just begun. As the centuries unfold, the world itself begins to change. Small bands give way to sprawling cities, simple shelters rise into grand homes, and people begin to build lives not just for survival, but for comfort and ceremony. The bed, once a simple refuge on the earth, evolves alongside humanity's expanding dreams. You find yourself walking slowly through the streets of ancient Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, where the very first cities hum with life. Clay walls rise around bustling marketplaces, narrow alleys filled with the scent of spices and fresh bread. Above the chatter, the call to prayer echoes softly, a reminder of God's watching over daily life. Inside a home made of sun-dried bricks, you see a sleeping area carefully arranged, a wooden frame raised from the floor, woven mats layered over with thick animal skins. Pillows, filled with straw and feathers, offer gentle support for the head. The bed here is no longer just a place to rest. It is a personal sanctuary, a marker of family and status. Sleep in Mesopotamia is shrouded in ritual and belief. You imagine the soft chanting of prayers whispered before laying down, the lighting of oil lamps that cast a warm, flickering glow over the sleeping quarters. In this culture, dreams are powerful, messages from gods or ancestors, and the bed becomes a sacred place where the divine brushes close. Now, drift across the sea to the lush, green valleys of the Indus River, where early Indian civilizations flourish. The homes here are built of brick, designed to catch cool breezes and shield from the heat. Inside, beds are simple but carefully made. Raised wooden platforms to avoid dampness, topped with woven mats or stuffed cushions. In the quiet moments before sleep, the faint scent of jasmine and sandalwood wafts through the air. Families gather around small fires, sharing stories of the day. The bed is both a private retreat and a space of connection, where children curl close to their parents and whispered lullabies soothe the night. Travel further east to ancient China, where dynasties rise and fall like tides. Here, the bed becomes a symbol of harmony and balance, crafted with exquisite care. Elegant wooden frames, often lacquered and carved with intricate designs, hold mattresses stuffed with cotton or hemp. You feel the smoothness of silk sheets, cool to the touch, and the gentle weight of embroidered covers. In traditional Chinese homes, the bed is carefully positioned to align with the flow of energy, or qi, ensuring peace and health during sleep. It is both a physical and spiritual haven. Imagine the ritual of preparing for rest in a noble Chinese household. A soft breeze rustling paper lanterns, the faint melody of a guqin playing somewhere nearby, the scent of fresh tea lingering in the air. Each night, the bed welcomes you like a guardian, inviting you to release the burdens of the day. As you drift through these ancient worlds, notice how the bed shifts from a simple necessity to a complex symbol. It is comfort, yes, but also status, spirituality, and even power. To own a finely crafted bed is to claim a place in the world, to say, here I am safe, here I belong. And yet, even as these civilizations grow and flourish, the basic human need remains unchanged. The need to lay down, to find peace, to close the eyes and dream. Let your mind wander now to the bustling streets of ancient Greece, where the rhythms of daily life pulse with music, debate, and celebration. Here, the bed is not just for sleep, but for life's pleasures, reclining during meals, sharing stories, and sometimes for love. You recline on a cline, soft cushions cradling your body, as warm light filters through open windows. The smell of olive oil and fresh bread fills the room. Around you, friends laugh and debate, their voices mingling with the music of a lyre. Sleep here is a shared experience, a gentle unfolding of rest beneath a canopy of stars. The Greeks understand the power of dreams, often interpreting them as messages from gods, guides for the waking world. The bed, then, is a gateway, a place where the mortal and divine touch. Rome stretches its vast empire across continents, and with it comes new ideas about comfort and utility. Picture yourself in a Roman domus, the floor covered with mosaic tiles depicting scenes of gods and heroes. Your bed, a robust wooden frame tightened with ropes, supports you firmly but gently. Romans prize order and function. Beds are arranged for different purposes. The lectus cubicularis for sleeping, the lectus triclinaris for dining and lounging. Your home echoes with the soft murmur of fountains and the scent of perfumed oils. In the warm Roman evenings, you might recline on your lectus triclinaris with wine and conversation, the world outside fading as the day's burdens slip away. The bed is a center of life, both rest and celebration, a private world within a bustling empire. As centuries turn, the grand empires fade, and Europe drifts into the Middle Ages, a time of shadows and stone castles, simple villages, and whispered prayers. Imagine a cold, drafty room in a peasant's home, where the bed is a humble stack of straw in a wooden frame. The cold bites through cracks in the walls, but the bed is a shared refuge, where family gathers pressed close against the chill. You hear the low murmur of prayers and the steady breathing of loved ones. The hay mattress is rough beneath your skin, but the warmth of wool blankets and the closeness of bodies offer comfort. Privacy is scarce, but the safety of togetherness is its own kind of peace. For the nobility, however, the bed becomes a fortress. Four posters rise high, draped with heavy curtains woven with intricate patterns. You can imagine the soft rustle of velvet and silk, the flicker of candlelight dancing across carved wood and painted panels. Servants warm bricks by the hearth to heat the bed, placing them beneath the covers before the lord or lady climbs in. Here, the bed is a throne and a sanctuary, a place of power as much as rest. The carved posts tell stories of faith, of family, of battles won and lost. The ritual of bedchamber life is a dance of ceremony and comfort. A lord might summon counselors here, the room thick with whispered plots and soft laughter. Yet when the night deepens, the bed offers solitude, a retreat from the world's harshness. Through these centuries, the bed carries stories of kings and peasants, of lovers and warriors, of births and deaths. It is a silent witness to life's unfolding, a quiet companion to the weary and the hopeful. And so, as you rest your head on your own pillow tonight, feel the weight of all those who have come before. Their hopes, their dreams, their very humanity rests beneath you. The bed is more than a piece of furniture. It is a bridge across time, a gentle lullaby sung by countless souls. The journey continues, and the story of the bed stretches out before you like a soft, endless horizon. You find yourself now stepping out of the Egyptian sun and into the olive-scented air of ancient Greece. The world here is alive with philosophy, politics, theater, and art. And yes, beds too. Unlike the Egyptian raised platforms, Greek beds, or klein, start to take on multiple roles. Imagine reclining on one after a day at the agora, or after a symposium, the famed Greek drinking party, where ideas flowed as freely as wine. These beds were not only for sleeping, they were places for eating, drinking, talking, and socializing. The boundaries between leisure and rest blur. The klein is a wooden frame stretched with leather or woven fabric, often supported by sturdy legs carved with simple motifs or scrolls. Pillows stuffed with feathers or wool provide comfort, while the covers might be fine linens dyed in the deep blues or reds of the Mediterranean palette. The wealthy Greeks prized their beds as much as their pottery or sculptures, and owning a beautiful klein was a mark of status. Picture Themistocles reclining in his home after a day of battle strategy, a goblet of diluted wine in one hand, his head resting on embroidered pillows, engaged in animated conversation. The bed isn't just furniture. It's a stage, a throne, a companion. The Greeks' philosophy of life blends with their furniture. Comfort, beauty, and utility are inseparable. Moving eastward to Rome, the bed becomes even more complex and multifunctional. The Roman lectus, equivalent to the Greek klein, takes on new social importance. Wealthy Romans have several beds for different occasions. Electus cubicularis for sleeping, Electus triclinaris for dining, and Electus genialis for sexual intimacy. Each serves a distinct purpose, underscoring the Romans' desire to organize life into neat compartments. Even relaxation. Roman beds are heavier, more elaborate constructions of wood, often decorated with bronze or ivory inlays. The mattress might be filled with wool or feathers, soft but supportive. Rope tensioning beneath the mattress, similar to later European beds, ensures the perfect balance of firmness and comfort. You tighten these ropes regularly, lending origin to the phrase, "sleep tight," an expression that survives to this day. In the villas of the elite, the bedroom is a sanctuary. The bed is elevated, framed with ornate columns and canopies heavy with rich fabrics to shield from drafts and provide privacy. Servants attend to the warming of bedclothes with hot bricks on chilly nights. The idea of the bed as a personal, almost sacred space takes hold. You might drift to sleep to the sounds of poetry recitals or the faint music of a lyre. For common Romans, the story is quite different. The average citizen's bed is simpler, a wooden frame with straw-stuffed mattresses, sometimes borrowed or shared. Privacy is scarce. Families, and sometimes even slaves, sleep crowded together in small rooms. But even here, the importance of the bed is felt. It is a place to retreat after the long, dusty day spent in the forum or on the streets of the sprawling city. The Romans also bring the concept of bedding hygiene and care to a new level. They use woolen blankets, linen sheets, and sometimes even perfumed oils to freshen linens. The notion that sleep is a restorative ritual, one that requires cleanliness and comfort, becomes embedded in Roman culture and laws. Baths and bedding are intertwined in daily routines. You bathe to prepare for rest, and you rest to prepare for the demands of a new day. Meanwhile, beyond the city walls, in the vast Roman provinces, local customs influence bed designs. In colder regions, thick skins and furs are layered atop mattresses. In the warmer provinces, lighter linens and woven mats prevail. These adaptations show how the basic idea of the bed evolves, shaped by climate, culture, and resources. Beds also play a role in Roman social rituals beyond sleep. The lectus triclinaris, used during banquets, turns rest into performance. Reclining on your left side, propped up on your elbow, you eat with your right hand, engaging in conversation and political maneuvering. The bed becomes an extension of identity and influence, a place where alliances are forged as much as where fatigue is eased. At the same time, the Romans bring innovations that will echo through millennia. Their development of metal springs, rudimentary but functional, offers new levels of support. The craftsmanship of their wooden frames, combined with advanced upholstery techniques, sets standards for durability and comfort. As you imagine this world, the beds of Greece and Rome emerge not merely as places of rest, but as arenas of social life and status. Practical tools of health and hygiene, and canvases for artistry and luxury. They reflect a society obsessed with order, comfort, and the blending of utility with elegance. From the rustic caves of prehistory to the elaborate triclinia of Rome, the bed has already undergone an astonishing transformation, and yet, this is only the beginning. The sun now sets behind the towering stone walls of a medieval castle, and you step inside, your footsteps echoing on the cold flagstone floors. The air is heavy with the scent of burning wood and beeswax candles. Outside, the world feels vast and uncertain, a place of shifting alliances, war, and faith. Inside, your bed is a refuge, but its nature depends entirely on who you are. If you're a peasant, life is hard and simple, and so is your bed. Imagine a narrow wooden frame, perhaps crudely built by your own hands or your village carpenter. On it, sacks stuffed with hay or straw serve as your mattress. Scratchy, uneven, but better than the cold earth. Your sheets, if you have them, are coarse linen or wool, often reused until threadbare. At night, you share this cramped space with your spouse, children, maybe even a family animal or two. Privacy is a luxury unknown. The cold drafts creep through cracks in the wooden walls and thatch roof, making warmth elusive. You rely on thick woolen blankets, patched and layered, to fend off the chill. But the fire's warmth rarely reaches your bedchamber fully, so you sleep huddled close to your kin, seeking comfort in shared breath and body heat. The sounds of village life drift through the night, the barking dogs, the distant tolling of church bells, the occasional howl of a wolf. Your bed is more than a place to lie down. It's a vital shield against the harshness of medieval existence. The very act of lying down is a surrender to rest in a world that demands constant vigilance. Now, shift your gaze upward, beyond the humble cottages and farmhouses, into the stone halls of the nobility, dukes, counts, and barons who wield power over land and people. Their beds are nothing like yours. Here, the four-poster bed reigns supreme. Imagine tall wooden posts rising to meet a canopy draped in heavy tapestries or velvet curtains, embroidered with heraldic symbols and religious motifs. These curtains can be drawn tight to seal out cold drafts and prying eyes, creating a private sanctuary within the vast, often drafty chamber. The frame itself is sturdy oak or walnut, intricately carved with scenes of myth and legend. Dragons, knights, angels. The craftsmanship speaks of wealth and status, a visible sign of the owner's power. Richly dyed linens of silk or fine linen cover the feather-stuffed mattresses. Layers of blankets, furs, and quilts pile high, softening the hardness of stone floors beneath. Servants tend to these beds with great care. On cold nights, bricks heated in the kitchen hearth are wrapped in cloth and placed under the covers to warm the sheets before the lord or lady climbs in. The scent of lavender or rosemary is often sprinkled on linens to ward off pests and impart a soothing aroma. Sleeping in such a bed is a ritual, a ceremony that reinforces the social order. It's not merely about rest, but about prestige, comfort, and display. But the medieval bed's significance extends beyond luxury. In an age when illness and death are constant threats, the bed is also a place of healing and final farewells. Noblemen and women often spend their last days in their bedchambers, attended by physicians and family alike. The bed becomes a stage for prayers, ministrations, and whispered goodbyes. Meanwhile, in monasteries and convents scattered across the countryside, beds are simple but purposeful. Monks and nuns sleep on hard pallets or straw-filled mattresses, embracing asceticism as a spiritual discipline. The bed here is a place for humble rest, a brief respite from prayer and work. Across all classes, the medieval bed is influenced by the ever-present shadow of the church. Religious iconography adorns headboards and canopies. Many beds even include small niches or carvings of saints for protection through the night. Sleeping arrangements reflect societal norms and beliefs. In many households, beds were shared spaces, with families often sleeping together for warmth and security. Separate sleeping chambers were rare and reserved for the elite. Throughout the Middle Ages, the bed remains a critical component of daily life, evolving slowly but surely. Its form and function are shaped by social hierarchy, climate, and prevailing cultural values. For peasants, it's a practical necessity. For nobles, a symbol of status and power. While the outside world grapples with feudal wars, plagues, and the rise and fall of kingdoms, the bed silently witnesses history, offering rest, refuge, and sometimes final comfort. Looking forward, the Renaissance dawns like a golden light spilling across Europe, bringing with it a renewed fascination with art, science, and the pleasures of life. The rigid structures of medieval society begin to soften, and with that comes a transformation in how people live and sleep. The bed, that ever-essential object, evolves alongside this cultural rebirth, reflecting new tastes, discoveries, and the blossoming of individual expression. You find yourself in an Italian city-state, Florence or Venice, perhaps. The streets are alive with merchants, scholars, and artists. The scent of fresh bread mingles with the clatter of horse-drawn carts. As you enter a wealthy merchant's home, you notice the bed immediately. It is a masterpiece in its own right. Gone are the heavy, somber tapestries of the Middle Ages. Instead, the bed's wood is polished to a rich sheen, often walnut or cherry, carved with intricate scrolls, cherubs, and mythological figures, inspired by classical antiquity. These carvings are not random. They tell stories, embody virtues, and reflect the humanist ideals sweeping through the culture. The canopy above is no longer just practical. It is decorative and ornate, designed to impress as much as to protect from drafts. Silks and velvets, dyed in deep jewel tones, emerald, ruby, sapphire, hang in luxurious folds. Curtains can be drawn not just for warmth, but to frame the bed like a stage, setting a scene of comfort and sophistication. Mattresses have improved dramatically. Instead of simple straw or hay, feathers stuffed inside linen casings provide a softness unheard of in earlier times. You sink into the plush layers, feeling a comfort that invites you to linger longer, to dream deeper. This bed is a symbol of newfound wealth and status. It says, "I have arrived." The merchant's family gathers around, but each adult may have their own bedchamber, a sign of growing individualism and privacy. The idea of sleeping in communal spaces, so common in medieval cottages, is fading for those who can afford better. In France, the Renaissance has its own unique flair. The courts of the Valois kings embrace grandeur and theatricality. Beds here are vast, often large enough to hold several people, a nod to the era's social rituals, where nobles entertained guests, even in their private chambers. These beds, often adorned with gold leaf and embroidered silks, serve as focal points for political and romantic intrigue. Louis XIII's bedchamber would later set a template for opulence. The bed becomes a symbol of royal power and divine right, its sheer size and extravagance underscoring the monarch's elevated status. Curtains heavy with gold thread, canopies embroidered with fleur-de-lis, and mattresses stuffed with the finest feathers create a space fit for a king who literally rules from his bed. But beyond the grandeur, the Renaissance also sees innovation in comfort and health. Medical theories of the time influence bedding materials. The use of herbs and aromatic plants stuffed into mattresses or scattered beneath linens aims to repel pests and promote restful sleep. Lavender, rosemary, and even dried rose petals are common additions, believed to purify the air and calm the mind. Beds also become centers of family life and personal expression. Portraits of loved ones might hang nearby. Rich fabrics are chosen to display taste and wealth. The rituals surrounding sleep expand, including elaborate bedtime prayers and readings from classical texts, blending faith and humanism. The Renaissance also witnesses the spread of the four-poster bed beyond royal courts and merchant homes into the households of the rising middle class. As trade flourishes and wealth grows, more people can afford better bedding, sparking a demand for skilled carpenters and upholsterers who can create beds that marry function with art. In England, the Tudor dynasty influences bed design. Henry VIII's lavish four-poster beds are renowned for their grandeur, often festooned with tapestries depicting hunting scenes or heraldic symbols. The bedchamber is one of the most important rooms in a noble house, a place for both rest and statecraft. The bed itself becomes a place where political alliances are forged and secrets exchanged. Meanwhile, in quieter countryside homes, simpler beds persist. Not everyone embraces the Renaissance's extravagance. For peasants and rural folk, beds remain practical. Wooden frames with straw mattresses, heavy blankets woven by hand. But even here, small changes occur. Pillows, once a rare luxury, become more common, stuffed with feathers or wool for added comfort. Overall, the Renaissance is a time when the bed transforms from a mere functional object into a symbol of status, culture, and evolving ideas about comfort and privacy. It reflects the era's complex mix of tradition and innovation, faith and humanism, power and personal expression. The Baroque era arrives with a burst of drama and extravagance, a world where power and spectacle intertwine in every detail, beds included. It's the age of absolute monarchs, of courts glittering with gold and velvet, of music and art that swell with emotion and grandeur. And in this world, the bed is no mere piece of furniture. It is a throne, a stage, a symbol of divine right and earthly power. Step into the vast, echoing halls of Versailles in the late 17th century. The air is thick with the scent of candles and perfumed oils. Here, Louis XIV, the Sun King, rules not only France but the very idea of monarchy itself. His bedchamber is a spectacle, the heart of court life. The king's bed is colossal, draped in rich red and gold fabrics, crowned with an elaborate canopy embroidered with the fleur-de-lis. Thick velvet curtains hang from the four posts, heavy enough to keep out drafts, but also to provide a grand sense of enclosure, a private world within the palace. The bed is raised on a platform, elevating the monarch physically and symbolically above his courtiers. But the bed is more than a resting place. It is a theater. Each morning, the ritual of the king's lever unfolds with meticulous precision. Courtiers gather to witness Louis XIV's waking, a public display of power and privilege. The king's attendants dress him, hand him his slippers, and prepare him to meet the day and the court, while still within the sacred circle of his bedchamber. This spectacle sends a clear message. The bed is a seat of power. To be invited into the king's chamber, even to observe his morning routine, is an honor and a mark of favor. It blurs the lines between the personal and the political, between privacy and performance. Beyond France, the Baroque style spreads across Europe, each court adding its own flourish to the design of beds. In Austria and Bavaria, for example, beds are adorned with elaborate carvings, angels, vines, and grotesque faces, each telling stories of faith, mythology, or dynastic pride. Rich fabrics of damask and brocade cover mattresses, stuffed with feathers, silk, and horsehair, offering comfort befitting royalty and nobility. But comfort isn't just about luxury, it's also about health. Medical knowledge is advancing, though still rudimentary by modern standards. Beds are designed to support the body better, and mattresses become thicker and more resilient. It is believed that proper sleep posture can prevent illness, a notion that influences the growing attention to the bed's construction. In England, the Stuart monarchs embrace similar extravagance. The beds of Charles II and James II are masterpieces, blending English craftsmanship with continental influences. Heavy brocades, ornate carvings, and towering canopies define these beds. But here, too, the bed is a political symbol. The English Civil War and the Glorious Revolution have shown that kingship is fragile, and the royal bed becomes a battleground of loyalty and intrigue. Outside the palaces, in the homes of the wealthy bourgeoisie, beds start to reflect changing tastes. The Baroque's exuberance sometimes gives way to Rococo's lighter, more playful designs. Curves replace heavy straight lines. Pastel colors replace deep reds and golds. Beds become smaller, more intimate, but no less a sign of status. For the common folk, however, life remains hard. Peasant beds in rural villages consist mostly of wooden frames filled with straw or rushes. Blankets are woven by hand, often coarse but warm. Still, even here, the presence of a bed marks a basic human desire for comfort and rest. Families often share beds, a necessity in small, cold homes. Meanwhile, innovations in textile production, such as the rise of linen and cotton manufacturing, slowly make softer, more breathable fabrics more available, even if still costly for the lower classes. Pillows become more common, stuffed with feathers or wool to cushion tired heads. By the end of the 17th century, the bed has become a complex cultural object. It serves as a personal sanctuary, a public symbol, and a tool for health and well-being. The layers of fabric, the height of the canopy, the carvings on the posts, all communicate messages about who you are, your place in society, and your relationship to the divine and the political world. The bed is no longer just a place to lie down. It is a stage on which the dramas of life, love, power, religion, politics are played out both publicly and privately. The 18th century dawns like a fresh breeze across Europe, carrying with it the whispers of reason, science, and new ideas about society and the self. This is the age of enlightenment, when thinkers challenge old traditions and champion progress. And as minds open to fresh concepts, so too do bedrooms and beds transform to reflect these shifting tides. Step into the rooms of Parisian salons, where philosophers like Voltaire and Rousseau debate the nature of humanity, liberty, and happiness. Here, the bed is still a symbol of status, but it begins to wear lighter clothes, both literally and figuratively. The heavy, dark tapestries and towering canopies of the Baroque fade into delicate silk curtains in pastel shades, fluttering with the gentle movements of candlelight. The Rococo style flourishes, ornate yet playful, elegant yet intimate. Beds become works of art, with curved lines and asymmetrical shapes that invite softness and comfort. The posts are thinner, carved with motifs of shells, flowers, and playful cherubs. No longer just a throne, the bed becomes a retreat, a cozy nook for rest, reflection, and romance. Beds in aristocratic homes are often positioned with great care. reflecting new ideas about privacy and personal space. The Enlightenment's emphasis on the individual encourages a more private experience of rest. Heavy curtains around the bed are drawn not only for warmth, but to shield the sleeper from prying eyes. The bedchamber becomes a personal sanctuary rather than a public spectacle. But the bed's symbolism remains potent. Even as reason reshapes society, the bed still speaks of wealth and power. The finest silks, the fluffiest feather mattresses, the most delicate lace coverings are a language of prestige. And, as with all things in the Enlightenment, there is an increasing attention to science and health. Doctors and medical writers advise on sleep hygiene, suggesting that fresh air, quiet, and comfortable bedding can improve one's health. Feather beds are believed to cushion joints and muscles, and cleanliness becomes a growing concern. The 18th century sees the rise of specialized bedding materials. Feathers are cleaned and sorted more carefully, mattresses are stuffed with horsehair or wool to provide better support, and sheets of linen, prized for their breathability and softness, are more widely used among the upper classes. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic in the American colonies, beds are simpler but functional. Colonial homes are practical, reflecting the hard work and modest means of settlers. Rope beds, with their characteristic springs of laced ropes tightened each morning, remain common. These beds creak and bounce but offer a reliable place to rest after a day of labor. In England, the Georgian era ushers in architectural changes that influence bedroom design. Rooms grow larger, windows more plentiful, and beds become the centerpiece of finely decorated chambers. Four-poster beds remain popular, but the canopies lighten, and the drapes are often made of colorful chintz, a cotton fabric imported from India that reflects the expanding British Empire and global trade networks. In the burgeoning cities, new furniture makers and craftsmen respond to a growing middle class hungry for comfort and style. Beds become more affordable, though still a prized possession. Manuals and etiquette guides instruct homeowners on how to arrange the bedroom for proper health and social respectability. The 18th century also sees the gradual introduction of bed curtains not only as protection against drafts, but as a statement of taste. Drawing these curtains closed signals a desire for rest, for solitude, for separation from the public world. The bedroom starts to become a space where the boundaries between public and private blur and shift in new ways. By the century's end, the bed has become both a product of evolving artistic styles and a reflection of changing social values. It is a place of comfort and status, health and intimacy. It shows the subtle dance between tradition and innovation, between the desire to display and the need for personal retreat. Throughout all these changes, one thing remains: the bed is central to human life. It is where the body restores itself, where the mind drifts into dreams, and where, perhaps, the self comes closest to rest and renewal. But then the world shifts again. The steady beat of hand tools and small workshops is joined and soon overtaken by the roaring engines of the Industrial Revolution. The 18th century unfolds with smoke-stacked factories, the steady clatter of machines, and the hum of progress. It's a time when the rhythms of life change dramatically, and so too does the way humans sleep. Imagine a European city in the late 1700s. Narrow cobblestone streets wind through clusters of brick houses, each illuminated by flickering candlelight or the occasional flicker of gas lamps. The population swells as peasants and farmers move into cities, chasing the promise of factory work and steady wages. This influx brings cramped living conditions, multiple families in single rooms, shared beds, and limited privacy. Sleep is no longer just a private ritual. It becomes a crowded communal necessity. The humble bed, once a symbol of status or comfort, becomes a scarce commodity. For many urban laborers, a clean, warm bed is a luxury they can rarely afford. Instead, sleep happens on hard floors, shared benches, or among piles of straw. But even in this hardship, the desire for rest never fades. Meanwhile, on the other side of society, the rise of a burgeoning middle class brings new opportunities for comfort and innovation. The Industrial Revolution unleashes a wave of technological advancements and new manufacturing processes. No longer confined to handmade wooden frames and straw-stuffed mattresses, beds begin to change. Iron bed frames appear, strong and durable, replacing their wooden predecessors. These frames are not only sturdier but also more hygienic, as they could be cleaned more easily, an important consideration in cramped, disease-prone cities. The cold, creaky wooden bed is giving way to something new, something that will redefine sleep for centuries to come. The mattress itself transforms as well. No longer just straw or feathers, mattresses start incorporating new materials and designs. Coil springs, invented in the mid-19th century, begin to appear inside mattresses, adding bounce and support. The spring mattress is a game changer, promising a more restful and less achy night's sleep. Factories ramp up production, making beds and mattresses available to more people than ever before. The craftsmanship of the past begins to blend with mass production methods. Skilled artisans share workspaces with mechanized looms and steam-powered saws. This shift reduces costs, making beds more affordable for the growing urban middle class. At the same time, the design of beds starts to reflect new ideas about health and hygiene. Victorian society, obsessed with cleanliness and moral propriety, pushes for beds that can be easily aired and maintained. High iron frames allow better airflow beneath mattresses, helping reduce dampness and mold, a critical improvement in damp, smoky cities. In department stores that begin to dot the expanding city centers, beds become objects of desire. Shoppers can browse showrooms filled with polished wooden frames, plush feather mattresses, and embroidered linens. Salesmen tout the latest innovations, promising buyers a healthier, more comfortable sleep. But even as beds become more accessible, the reality of factory life takes its toll. Exhausting 12 or 14-hour shifts under harsh conditions mean that many workers are too tired to care much about their bedding. For them, sleep is a brief, often interrupted necessity rather than a luxurious retreat. The stark contrast between working-class conditions and middle-class comforts grows. While some enjoy feather beds and lace curtains, others curl up on makeshift pallets in overcrowded boarding houses. Yet, even amid hardship, the essential human need for rest remains unbroken. At night, the city becomes a strange landscape, candlelit rooms with ornate beds and silken sheets tucked just blocks away from tenement houses where families share rickety bunks. Sleep becomes both a physical and social marker, a reflection of one's place in this rapidly transforming society. By the end of the 19th century, the bed has begun to emerge as a symbol of progress and modernity. The once humble sleeping place is now entwined with notions of comfort, health, and even identity. The rise of consumer culture means that what you sleep on says something about who you are, your class, your values, your aspirations. Yet, for all this innovation, the bed remains a deeply personal space. It is a place where, despite the noise and turmoil of industrial cities, the human body and mind seek restoration. It is the final frontier of privacy in a world increasingly crowded and mechanical. The Industrial Revolution laid the groundwork for a sleep revolution. It transformed the bed from a handcrafted piece of furniture into a manufactured good, a product to be bought and sold. It introduced new materials and designs that shaped the way humans rest. As the 19th century faded into the 20th, the pulse of the Industrial Revolution grew even stronger, and with it, the landscape of sleep transformed in ways both subtle and profound. The world was speeding up. Factories hummed louder, cities grew taller, and human lives became more intertwined with machines and clocks than ever before. In this new era, the bed was no longer just a resting place. It was a carefully engineered object, designed to meet the demands of modern living. The advancements made in the previous century provided a foundation, but now innovation exploded with the rapid growth of technology, mass production, and scientific understanding. Steel springs became standard inside mattresses, replacing older coil systems with more sophisticated arrangements that promised greater comfort and durability. These steel springs, hidden beneath layers of cotton, horsehair, and wool, provided support that molded to the body's shape, cushioning tired muscles and easing aches that had once been accepted as the price of a hard night's rest. Manufacturers competed fiercely, advertising beds and mattresses as essential for health and vitality. "Sleep is the foundation of success," proclaimed posters plastered across urban centers. Companies touted new features like double-tempered springs and air vents built right into mattress designs. The bed was no longer just a place to sleep. It was a tool for productivity, a battleground in the fight against fatigue. The rise of department stores changed everything. Shoppers strolled down polished aisles, lined with gleaming beds, soft linens, and rows of pillows fluffy as clouds. Salespeople offered demonstrations, encouraging customers to lie down and feel the difference. It was an era when buying a bed became an event, a way to claim a piece of modern life. This was also a time when the concept of sleep hygiene began to take hold. Doctors and scientists studied the effects of poor sleep, linking it to illness and reduced productivity. Advice columns and health magazines urged people to invest in better bedding, maintain regular sleep schedules, and create peaceful bedrooms free of clutter and distractions. The bed was part of a larger ecosystem of health, a space to nurture the body and soul. At the same time, technological advancements made their way into the bedroom. Electric blankets, first invented in the early 1900s, began to replace hot water bottles. Adjustable bed frames with mechanical lifts, originally designed for hospital use, entered homes, allowing people to recline, raise their legs, or sit up comfortably. These innovations blurred the lines between furniture, medical device, and luxury item. But it wasn't just technology shaping sleep culture. It was also social change. The early 20th century saw shifts in how people lived, worked, and rested. The spread of electricity allowed homes to be illuminated after dark, extending waking hours. Radios became common fixtures in bedrooms, bringing music, news, and storytelling into private spaces. The bedroom became a hub of leisure and information, not just rest. Moreover, the growing middle class embraced the idea that the bed was a personal sanctuary, a place to retreat from the demands of modern life. Privacy, once a rare luxury, became more attainable with single-family homes and separate bedrooms. The bed was the centerpiece of this new private realm, a space where individuals could express themselves through choices in bedding, decor, and even sleeping habits. Yet, this period also saw challenges. The hustle and bustle of industrial cities, combined with the demands of early factory shifts and urban noise, meant that many workers still struggled for restful sleep. Crowded living conditions persisted in many areas, and for those with little means, a good bed remained out of reach. Meanwhile, the mattress industry began to experiment with new materials. Latex foam, derived from rubber trees, was introduced as a spring alternative in the 1920s, prized for its durability and comfort. The search for the perfect sleep surface continued, driven by scientific inquiry and consumer demand. Advertising campaigns grew more sophisticated, appealing to emotions and aspirations. Sleeping well was linked to beauty, success, and happiness. Slogans promised dreams so sweet you'll never want to get up. The bed was no longer just functional. It was a symbol of a good life. By the 1930s and 40s, the bed had fully entered the modern age. The aftermath of 2 world wars brought economic upheaval, but also technological leaps. New synthetic materials like polyurethane foam emerged, offering alternatives to natural fillings. Bed design began to consider ergonomics, supporting spinal alignment and reducing pressure points. Sleep research accelerated, with scientists investigating REM cycles, sleep disorders, and the psychology of rest. The bed became a site of scientific interest, a microcosm of human health and well-being. Through it all, the bed remained an intimate and essential space, one that adapted to the rhythms of a rapidly changing world while holding fast to its ancient purpose, to cradle the weary body and quiet the restless mind. As the 20th century moved forward, the bed continued to evolve, shaped by innovations in technology, design, and a deeper understanding of human sleep. The post-war boom brought prosperity to many, and with it came a new level of comfort and convenience in the bedroom. The bed was no longer just a necessity. It was a statement of lifestyle, an emblem of modern living. One of the most transformative changes came with the widespread introduction of the box spring in the 1920s and 30s. This wooden frame, filled with springs, acted like a shock absorber beneath the mattress, providing a bouncy, supportive foundation. Together, mattress and box spring created a layered system that could soften the impact of the sleeper's body, promising deeper rest. For decades, this combination became the industry standard, shaping the way people slept across the Western world. By the 1950s, mass consumer culture was in full swing. Department stores and mattress retailers bombarded buyers with choices: innerspring mattresses, foam layers, orthopedic designs, waterbeds. The mattress war was underway. Advertising campaigns plastered on billboards, radios, and television emphasized health, happiness, and the perfect night's sleep. Each brand promised the ultimate solution, often using doctors or athletes to vouch for their product's benefits. During this time, the notion of the bed as a multi-purpose space gained traction. Television transformed bedroom life. Families installed sets in bedrooms, turning beds into spots not only for sleeping but for watching shows, reading magazines, or relaxing after long days. The once sacred sleep space became more intertwined with waking activities, blurring boundaries that had existed for millennia. Simultaneously, scientific advances deepened society's understanding of sleep's importance. Sleep laboratories began to emerge, studying the brain's rhythms and the stages of sleep. Research revealed a critical role of REM sleep in memory and emotional health, highlighting how poor sleep could have devastating effects on overall well-being. Suddenly, the bed was a medical device, a front line in the battle against fatigue and disease. This period also saw an explosion of new materials. Memory foam, invented by NASA in the 1960s to cushion astronauts during takeoff, entered the consumer market decades later, revolutionizing mattress design. Unlike the springy bounce of inner springs, memory foam adapted to the sleeper's shape, cradling joints and reducing pressure points. It promised a sleep experience tailored precisely to the body. Adjustable beds grew popular too, especially for those with medical needs. Electric motors allowed users to elevate their heads or feet, easing conditions like acid reflux, sleep apnea, or circulation problems. Bedrooms slowly incorporated technology that responded to individual health, comfort, and even mood. In the 1980s and 90s, sleep culture blossomed into a booming industry. Mattresses became luxuries with names like Tempur-Pedic, Serta Perfect Sleeper, and Sealy Posturepedic. Consumers faced dizzying options: gel-infused foams, hybrid models combining springs and memory foam, hypoallergenic fabrics. Specialty pillows promised cervical support, cooling effects, or even aromatherapy benefits. Alongside mattress innovation, bedding underwent its own transformation. High thread count sheets, down comforters, and weighted blankets became symbols of comfort and style. The bedroom was designed as a retreat, a sanctuary from the fast-paced modern world. Designers emphasized aesthetics and function, blending technology with tradition. Sleep tracking devices began to emerge, from simple wristbands to sophisticated apps. People could monitor their heart rate, movement, and sleep stages, gaining data-driven insights into their nightly rest. This marked a shift from passive use of the bed to an active relationship with sleep health. But despite these advances, challenges persisted. The pace of life accelerated with digital technology, work pressures, and 24/7 connectivity. Many found their sleep compromised by stress, screens, and shifting schedules. The bed remained a refuge, but one increasingly challenged by the outside world. In parallel, global trends highlighted differences in sleep culture. While Western nations embraced high-tech beds and sleep gadgets, other cultures maintained traditional approaches. Futons on tatami mats in Japan, hard mattresses in parts of Asia, communal sleeping spaces in some regions. The bed, like sleep itself, remained deeply personal and culturally rooted. Entering the 21st century, the bed continues its journey as a nexus of technology, health, and comfort. Innovations like smart mattresses that adjust firmness in real time, climate-controlled bedding, and integration with home automation systems signal a future where the bed is more connected than ever. Sleep science continues to unravel mysteries about circadian rhythms, the microbiome's effect on sleep, and how environment and behavior shape rest. The bed is not just furniture, but a dynamic interface between body, mind, and technology. Throughout it all, the bed holds its ancient promise, a place of rest, restoration, and vulnerability. The bed remains where the body slows, the mind wanders, and dreams unfold. It is a vessel carrying the weight of centuries of human experience, comfort, and culture. Throughout all these changes, one thing remains. The bed is central to human life. It is where the body restores itself, where the mind drifts into dreams, and where, perhaps, the self comes closest to rest and renewal. But as our understanding of sleep deepened, the humble bed began to evolve not just in shape and material, but in intelligence, a quiet revolution beneath the sheets. Modern mattresses are no longer mere piles of springs and stuffing. They are intricate systems designed with cutting-edge science. Take temperature regulation, for example. Scientists have long known that body temperature drops as we fall asleep, and that disruptions in this cycle can fragment rest. Responding to this, manufacturers have engineered beds with dual-zone temperature controls. Picture this: one side of the bed softly warmed, like the gentle heat of sunlight on a chilly morning, while the other side offers a refreshing coolness, reminiscent of a mountain breeze. This isn't luxury alone, it's practical, solving the age-old problem couples face when one prefers warmth and the other chills. Some systems go further, embedding microtubes throughout the mattress, circulating warm or cold water, and adjusting in real time, all controlled with apps on your phone. This dynamic temperature dance supports uninterrupted, deep sleep. Beyond temperature, the very materials in the mattress have transformed dramatically. Memory foam, a NASA invention originally intended to absorb shock in aircraft seats, was introduced into homes with the promise of molding to your body's unique contours. But early versions trapped heat, making restless sleepers sweat through the night. To combat this, gel-infused memory foam came onto the scene. Tiny beads of gel woven seamlessly into the foam layers act like microscopic heat sinks, absorbing body heat and dispersing it to keep the surface cool. This subtle but powerful change means sleepers can stay comfortably cool without sacrificing the contouring support that makes memory foam so popular. Natural latex foam also re-entered the market, prized for its bounce and resilience. Unlike memory foam's slow sink, latex offers a lively pushback, keeping your body supported without feeling stuck. Derived from rubber tree sap, it is naturally hypoallergenic and resistant to dust mites and mold, making it a favorite for allergy sufferers. Hybrid mattresses combine the best of both worlds. Coils nested in fabric pockets form the core, moving independently to cradle your body and reduce motion transfer, meaning when your partner shifts or rolls, you hardly notice. Surrounding these coils are layers of various foams designed for pressure relief and airflow. This blend balances support and comfort in a way that adapts to your movements throughout the night. But beds today don't stop at comfort. They have become smart. Embedded sensors quietly monitor your sleep patterns, tracking how often you toss and turn, measuring your heart rate and breathing. This data feeds into companion apps that provide insights and personalized tips, helping you optimize your sleep hygiene. Some smart beds can even adjust their firmness automatically throughout the night, responding to your shifting body and the stage of sleep you're in. They might gently elevate your head if snoring becomes a problem, or lower your legs to reduce swelling after a long day. Connectivity extends beyond the mattress itself. Integrated USB ports, wireless phone charging pads, and ambient lighting controlled by voice commands have turned beds into mini command centers. Some models sync with smart home devices to lower the blinds, adjust the thermostat, or play soothing sounds as you drift off. crafting an ideal sleep environment tailored just for you. Even the fabrics wrapped around mattresses and pillows have evolved. High-tech fibers now wick moisture away, regulate airflow, and adjust to temperature changes, ensuring that the skin stays dry and comfortable. Weighted blankets, filled with tiny glass beads, mimic the sensation of a gentle hug, helping reduce anxiety and promote relaxation through deep pressure stimulation, a modern take on ancient comforting techniques. The future of beds might include materials we can barely imagine today, foams that adapt their structure on a molecular level, surfaces that recharge your body while you rest, or beds integrated with artificial intelligence, learning your habits so intimately that they anticipate your needs before you even realize them. All this innovation highlights one enduring truth. The bed is a sanctuary, a refuge from the noise and chaos of waking life. While centuries ago it was simply a pile of leaves or a raised wooden platform, today it is a marvel of science and comfort, an intimate space where the ancient human quest for rest meets the cutting edge of technology. That brings us to the end of the bed story. Thanks for joining me on this journey through the long, fascinating history of your bed. I hope the next time you lie down, you'll see your bed as more than just a place to sleep, but as a story that stretches back thousands of years. Good night, sleep well, and thanks for watching.